ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my review of Raw. This was a very action-packed Raw. Not sure if it was a great Raw with so many matches on there, but it is what it was. It is what it is, sorry. Let me get through the matches as quickly as possible because there were so many of them. I'll go through the matches that for the tournament. That would be the best thing to do. First match, RVD versus ADR. Good match. Not bad, but ADR really isn't a credible threat to me. He just isn't. He's been promoted so badly. So when RVD won, it didn't really mean a lot to me, but it was still a good match. The next match, Cesaro versus Mark Henry. And I need to say this 100%. Gotta breathe. When it comes to Cesaro, they wanted to turn him face for a long time. People have been teased for him to turn face for a long time. People have been seeing the real Americans being teased to be turning face for a long time. I've already said Cesaro should turn face with Zed for more than a few long times. But when finally he turns face on the pre-show of WrestleMania, people screamed. They wanted it for so long. When he won the Memorial Battle Royal, people were epically happy. When he turned on Jack Swagger and then faced him after the Memorial Cup was destroyed, people were happy. But when it came to Paul Heyman, it was a question mark what was going to happen with Paul. For the simple reason is this. I've said this already after this happened. Paul has huge amounts of heat because of the streak going away. We're not going to see Brock Lesnar for a while, maybe several months. So they did not want to lose this huge momentum with Paulie. So they decided to throw it on to someone who really could benefit from it, which is Cesaro. But here's where the stupidness comes in of the WWE. So stupid. I've already said this in my debate of the week. Is this a new era for the WWE? I said no. Because they're not really being mindful of what they got. Because when you see this, the only thing Paul Heyman had to do, not mention Brock Lesnar, not mention the streak, and just be there for Cesaro. I know people are going to say, dude, it wouldn't have worked. It would have to a point. It did after what happened with Jack. It did. He only spoke about his new client. He barely talked about Brock Lesnar and didn't talk about the streak at all. But here he did. And he angered the crowd to the point they were booing when Cesaro came out. And that's not heat, those boos. Those were boos of anger because they should have had a face to pop for. Cesaro did a great job with, oh man, I really didn't want to see Mark Henry lose this. I would love to see him get the IC Championship. I do. I don't think he ever held it. I would love to see him have it. But he lost to a guy that had great momentum right now. The neutralizer on him was epic. I love seeing bang on the balls of his toes, dropping a Mark Henry. It was great. But it was destroyed because the crowd was so angry they couldn't pop for him. The WWE blew their chance to use a monster and a Paul Heyman to get over a Cesaro. They did. They lost a huge opportunity. They could have transitioned Paulie into a face very easily because people didn't want to boo Paulie anymore. They don't want to think about the streak as much as they're angry about it. But now they made it very apparent. So that was the stupidest thing the WWE could have done. Next, Jack Swagger versus Sheamus. It was an okay match. Seeing Zed with Jack really doesn't give me any interest at all anymore. It was Cesaro that was making it work. And it was great to see Sheamus win, but I don't know where they're going to go with him. Next, and final, will be Dolph versus Bad News Barrett. The match of the night for me personally. It was a damn good match. I loved it. The crowd loved it. Now, Dolph won once. And so did Bad News Barrett, or Wade Barrett. But when it comes down to it, both these guys who are former IC champions, would they really benefit from being an IC champ again? I'm not sure. To be honest, I don't think it would work. Because they haven't been built very well. And even though Bad News Barrett is saying, bad news, trying to get the crowd behind them. At one point they were. The crowd really is not interested in Bad News Barrett as he is. I'm sorry, they're not. If they allowed Dolph to be knocked out and not to be counted, that they just said, well, he's out, don't count, and just raised Bad News Barrett's arm in victory, it would have gotten over more. But it wasn't enough for me. Now, let's get into the other stuff. We have the Rhodes Brothers versus Rybactyl. I can say this, the music they have for Ryback and Curtis Axel is actually quite good. I like how they melded them together. And I believe it was, I don't remember who won it. I think it was Ryback who won it. Or, I don't remember who won the match, to be honest. I don't remember. As much as I love Goldust and Cody Rhodes, it just wasn't that great for me. Because there's no interest for these guys. So I'm going to move on to, why not? Fandango and Layla. Oh my baby, oh my baby. This is my baby right here, ladies and gentlemen. If Naomi did not exist in WWE, this is my woman right here. This is a gorgeous Moroccan woman right there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. I love Layla L when she was first out. I was in love with that woman. I fell in love with her. I would have dropped to my knees and begged her to just look at me. And seeing her replacing Summer Rae made me think Summer pissed someone off in the back, or they're going to give her something more substantial. My guess is after what's been going on in Total Divas, particularly they said something about, what is it? Natalia's nose having to have surgery. Or maybe she did something stupid in the back that they took her off her and maybe put her to the minor leagues again in NXT. Or maybe they'll put her to Superstars, Saturday Morning Slam, you never know. I have no idea, but this is what we got. Seeing Layla dealing with Emma and Santino. I knew Emma wasn't going to win this. I knew it, I'm sorry. And this kind of covers what I was saying in my debate of the week. The WWE doesn't know what they have. And they don't act mindful of what they've already gotten and how to build them or rebuild them. And when it comes to Emma, Emma is a character that is winning the crowd over. Not her beauty, it's her character. Right now, she's still in a good position to get somewhere. I knew Layla had to win this because they need to really build Fandango with his new dancer. I'm so glad it's her because, to be honest, if you look at Summer Rae compared to Layla, and Summer's a beautiful woman. She's a sexy woman, but she's not even in the same class as Layla. Not as a dancer, and not in her own beauty. I'm sorry, she's just not. So having her there was actually the wisest thing for Fandango. And I admit I'll miss Summer, but I'm not going to miss Layla. Can smell cinnamon toast crunch in the air. I think that was what it was called. Anyway, the next thing I'm going to talk about is Bray Wyatt and Cena. I'm very nervous for Bray Wyatt. I had to redo this twice because of this particular segment. I had to. For the simple reason, my fear is Bray Wyatt is going to turn into a Wade Barrett. No matter how you feel about Wade Barrett had the size, he has the voice, he had the charisma, he had the character that could have gotten over more than 2 years ago. But he got buried by John Cena. He did. Yeah, the storyline he was in was shit. It was. But by the time the Nexus was gone, it was just Barrett and Cena. Cena destroyed him. And it didn't help being with Randy Orton, which was no better. My fear is that I'll say it like this. If Extreme Rules is a good match in a steel cage, which was talked about, the problem I see is this. If Cena does not let him go over, you can forget about Wade Barrett eventually. It's going to happen. He should have won at WrestleMania, but Cena wasn't willing to do it. So the only thing that can redeem him, the only thing that can barely redeem Wade, about to say Wade Barrett. You see I'm getting upset again. Bray Wyatt is a win here. And then they have a blow-off at SummerSlam. This is the only chance. And I'm stretching this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm stretching this. I don't want to stretch it to SummerSlam. I'd rather see this over as quickly as possible. But if Bray Wyatt is going to get anywhere, he needs to have a strong 1 of the 4 pay-per-view win situations. It's the only chance he has to stick around. He needs to win this, and him and John Cena must not have any real major confrontations in matches at all. They must just have fights or just talking. And I'm going to tell you this. The segment in the ring with Bray was gorgeous. I loved how he talked. John Cena, he's a hit and miss, and he missed. I did not like it when they brought... Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, my batteries died. You have no idea how many times I had to redo my video because of the frustration of this one particular subject of Bray Wyatt and John Cena. I think I've killed my batteries because of this. I'm going to give it to you like this. When it comes to the Extreme Rules match in the steel cage, I just don't feel Bray Wyatt's going to get 100% over. Even if he wins. He should have had that signature win at WrestleMania, and he didn't. The only chance he had to really get something substantial is at SummerSlam. And that's many months away. And I have this bad feeling they're going to do a blow-off by then. And by then, Bray Wyatt is going to end up like Wade Barrett. Where he was strong at one point. Taking away from the Nexus. He looked strong at one point. But then... he was destroyed by John Cena. This is my great fear about this. Next, I'm going to talk about the Ultimate Warrior tribute. Throughout the week, they're going to be doing it, and they did a decent job throughout the night. I did enjoy it. It still hurts. I'm going to say this in my personal life. I didn't find out I had any type of Native American heritage at all until I was 17 or 18 years old. The Ultimate Warrior was already doing his gimmick by then. By the time I found out, I always had this strange feeling when I looked at the Ultimate Warrior. I was looking at someone who was like a chief. Like Chief Jay Strongbow, like Tatanka, like the Briscoe brothers. I felt something like that from him. And then when it came to finding out I actually had it, I didn't feel alone. Like I could see someone like me. I know it sounds silly, but that's just my feeling about it. And it was a nice tribute to him. I just wish he wasn't gone. Now the ending of the show. This is where I don't know what I'm going to call this review. Shall I say the reforming of the band? Shall I say Evolution Strikes Back? Maybe that might be the best title for this, because when it comes down to it, you have 11 guys going after the Shield. When it comes to Batista and Orton facing the Usos, they got their asses beaten up by the Shield. And it was a DQ on the Usos. They lost, but they won. But what does this really mean? They all got so angry and so tired of this, they decided to bring back the most strongest faction, minus one person, back into the fold. Evolution returns. They demolished the Shield after the 11 men did it. Alexander Rusev looked good. Titus O'Neil looked alright. Rusev to me was the most strongest person out there that looked good. But once Evolution came down, hit the music. All we got was the last part of the beatdown. But the person who shined the most from the Shield, who got their butts kicked, was Roman Reigns. So this point, Roman Reigns was the one who looked the best out of this. Even though he got himself beat the shit out of. I did enjoy it. But it does worry me. Look, I've already said in my debate of the week, is this the new era for the WWE? Is this the new future era? I said no, for the simple reason that when you see how the WWE treats their previous talent, you think they just throw so many people out there at a certain time to see whatever they like to see stick, that they bury the ones they brought in previously. I'm sorry, that's how I feel about things. Like I said, over the last 4 to 6 months, they brought in more than a few people. And when it comes down to it, I don't believe any of those people who started showing any type of momentum is going to get anywhere with the new people coming in. Paige is beautiful to see. I would love to see something happen with Paige. But what happened to Tamina? As much as you'll say, oh, so what? She's an older wrestler. Who cares? She's been with AJ longer than anyone. And when it came down to it, she should have had the title. Naomi, who people see as a fan favorite now, who got her eye cracked open by Oksana, where people really expected Naomi to get the title if it was not Tamina, has been thrown on the wayside as well. See it like this, ladies and gentlemen. You need to build the ones that you just brought in within the last couple of years to give the ones that are now in something to work with. If you don't do that, what do you exactly have? You just have a clusterfuck of people there that will end up like a Carlito over at... Carlito was honest, and I say this again. Carlito said it honestly at the Hall of Fame ceremony. We didn't have enough time. This kind of feels like when I was working here when they had no time for me and they didn't want to put me on TV. Does this sound familiar? Look at Xavier Woods. Look at Cesaro. Look at him. He should be popped at. He should be getting pops out of his ass. And now he's getting booed because they're angry about him not being a face now. This is how I feel about the WWE. They're not being intelligent. As much as I like some of the things they've done, they made more stupid mistakes in the last show here than anything else. So I hope you enjoyed the Zane view. Please tell me below, did that make any sense? I would like to know, what do you think about Paige? Do you believe she's going to get a storyline or not? Do you believe Cesaro staying heel is the right thing? Do you believe Evolution without Ric Flair, the wheeling and dealing, whining and dining son of a bitch, should have been there, or someone, an equivalent of a Randy Orton should have been brought in or will be brought in? That's my question. Will someone be brought into Evolution? That's what we got. See ya!